which needs to be addressed within this school. Now, as we do that, it then says that we need to package our matters such that we know which of the matters that must be dealt with in the immediate, so that we sought to resolve the issues, and there are those matters that must be looked at in the medium term, which will be done, so must be sorted within a period of 3 months. There are those matters that in the long run, that will ensure sustenance and cohesion, unity and discipline within the school, that must be looked at. Now, in the immediate, from what we could gather earlier on, certainly there were instigators of the incident, and we got to appreciate who were the people who were involved in this whole saga, other than the children that were involved. Now, there were teachers that were involved that instigated actually the incident, and we said those teachers must be looked at. They cannot be left unattended. They must be suspended, so that, in all honesty, let disciplinary processes be instituted against them. They've got to respond to the issues that have been raised. Now, the second matter, it is not only these children, 2 children, that were involved in this altercation. There were other children that were involved, but they've been left out of the suspensions, if of course there were suspensions of some sort, because of ever since the school has been put on a cool-off process. We are saying we will re-initiate the whole process. We'll suspend the children that were involved in this whole saga, afford them an opportunity to be heard, all of them. The intention is not to punish any of the children, but to have a corrective measures taken, so that at the end of the day, we provide necessary guidance and counseling, not just only to those that were involved in the incident, but those who are learners, who have been affected psychologically and emotionally, because almost each and every learner, it would seem like it is a cause for concern what is happening here within the school premises. And therefore, it is important that as we address these matters, we look at matters of counseling, we provide them with counseling, so that we avoid future occurrences of this nature. On Monday, we will be here addressing all the children, so that we quell the violence that is happening within the school, and we make sure that we restore discipline and order within the school. There's no amount of violence or racial discrimination or intimidation that will be tolerated within the school, not only the school, across the province, because that is not what we believe in, and that is not what we stand in. So every parent has brought a child not to be discriminated or be ill-treated on the basis of their skin color, but they are all here for one purpose and one purpose only: to be taught to be future leaders of this country. So at this point in time, the next step that we will have to embark on is the issue of the reviewal of the policies and the code of conduct. We had an opportunity to appreciate those policies and code of conduct, which in our view, they have been undermined by the very same teachers who managed the incident. Had this incident been managed impartially way from the beginning, we would not be where we are. Along the way, we must accept we have faltered, and we must self-correct. We must make sure that where there are gaps, those gaps are being addressed through the reviewal of the policies and the code of conduct, so that they become just and fair to every children, and they are applied impartially to all our children. And how we manage the conflict situation within our school, we were found wanting. So we were very much irrational when we took the decision. We reacted to the pressure of media. Hence, we ended up taking the wrong decision, which then exacerbated to a situation where we find ourselves in today. And we are saying along those bases, which was amongst the other reason why certain decision ought to be taken. The principal did not play her role in trying to manage the situation. It's a fact that we all acknowledge, we've said it that even earlier on, that the matter, we feel it could have been handled a bit different to avoid the situation in which we find ourselves in today. So those were amongst the other issues. But we are saying we have looked at the staff component of the school. It's predominantly lily white. And that poses a challenge in terms of cultural background, our belief, and how we do things. And how would one understand why a particular group of people within our premises would behave or do things in a particular manner. So it is very difficult. If you don't know this thing, you wouldn't know them, and you would sound a bit spiteful because it's something that you know. To you, it's foreign, but somebody else understands very well what it means and what is it that is happening. So therefore, for you to deduce and strike that balance, if you are one-sided in terms of your understanding and how you see things, you would expect things to be done in a particular way that suits your culture and belief at the expense of another culture. And therefore, that says, it speaks to the composition even of the SGB, which is not inclusive. It is very difficult for a particular group of parents to take decisions on behalf or at the expense of other parents. That does not give a fair representation and fair analogy of issues that are at hand at this point in time. And therefore, that creates a challenge. And we are saying, even the intake of this school, it must be attended to. The teachers that are employed within the school must also include the black teachers as well, moving forward. And we are saying the intake, how it is done at this point in time, it must be looked at along the racial lines. So we need to strike that balance, that at the end of it all, there is no dominance of one sector of our community at the expense of another sector of our community. An important issue here was raised of the school being the feeder school. That is our policy. And I was very concerned if indeed there are children that are considered from Bronkhorstspruit, from Middelburg, at the expense of children who resides within this area, who must be given the first priority in terms of admission in the school. But because of the color of their skin, they are being denied, and we instead choose to prefer children from Bronkhorstspruit and children from Middelburg to be schooled here. No, that is a concern to us. We will investigate that. We will investigate, interrogate the reports so that we get to the bottom of these issues, indeed, if that is the issue here at school. So those are basically amongst the other issues that we have discussed. We will be looking at. There's still work that needs to be done, and in all honesty, we want to expedite. Of concern to us are the assessments that are going ahead. We cannot disadvantage any children from schooling because it is within their right to be afforded an opportunity to be taught and be learned as learners. And there is no parent that thinks that he or she can intimidate any child. Every person has a right in this country, and those rights are enshrined in our constitution, and they must be respected as such. If there's any parent who leaves his or her house to come and intimidate or assault any children, we will let the police in and those parents will be arrested, because that would be against the law of these countries. So we are not apologetic about that. We are saying let peace, discipline be restored within the school. Having said that, we want to take this opportunity once again and thank you for affording us the opportunity to deliberate and engage on these matters. Your inputs have assisted a lot. We really value what has been raised here, which then says that there's more interrogation that needs to be done. And accordingly, indeed, if there is a need for a follow-up meeting, which we will have to, amongst one other thing that we've agreed on, we need to have parents meeting. We know that there are protocols that must be observed in terms of COVID. We'll have to arrange the modalities as to how do we get the parents so that all the parents get the same understanding as to how do we chart the way forward. We are saying, principal, we must desist from allowing outsiders to get in the school, be given audience to address or instigate racial tensions within the school. That must not happen, and it cannot be correct. Had it not that been done, possibly the situation could have been way less than what it is today. That has created a lot of problem. And as parents, no one has a right to come and barricade the gates of the school. If there's a problem here, there are men and women in blue that will be deployed to come and restore peace and order in the school. We don't want any parents to come here to protect what against what. We don't want to see that happening anymore. Every parent, M17, you must go back to your work, do your work, leave our children, leave our school premises so that we restore peace and order within the school. There's no child that will be harmed by any parent, by no chances that we will allow such a situation, and there's no child that will be intimidated by any parent or whatsoever at this point in time. We are calling upon all the parents to go back home, sit their children down, talk to them, explain to them what transpired here and what kind of behavior we are expecting from them. Because we expect maximum discipline within our children. It cannot be us instigating or inciting violence against our children. We can't set them up. Enough is enough. We have done that as teachers, and it cannot be done by parents. The incident that has occurred, there is a teacher who's behind that incident. Truth be told, we heard that these boys who were fighting, they are actually friends. But the teacher found comfort to walk them around, parading these children and make them, these evil people. And at the end, they ended up confronting each other. You must be ashamed of yourself. You must be ashamed of yourself. You were supposed to make sure that you protect these children from fighting each other. But you find comfort in making sure that you set them up against each other. We can't allow that. That cannot be tolerated. Hence, we are saying let disciplinary processes be taken at this point in time. Thank you very much for your time. I know that we've kept you way too long today. We really appreciate. To us, it indicates the commitment, the selflessness, the dedication that you have shown to make sure that we resolve these matters as they ensue. We thank you very much. The meeting stands adjourned.